Donovan, actually, you were talking about Dread Game earlier, and I got a long-term live-in girlfriend. She's got a new boss. I think there's a little flirty thing going on between the two of them, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know if I call her out, if I ignore it, if there's some other strategy to get her back on track. I don't think there's any cheating. It's just a little bit too much chemistry between these two.
You're just insecure about it. Hey, if she dies in a horrible car accident tomorrow, how long does it take for you to get back on that horse and get another one?
Probably a year or two.
All right, so you got to get that down to about a week, and then you'll notice all these problems just go away. It's wonderful. It's counterintuitive, but it works. You're just gonna have to
get
trust
like
me
a microphone that we can just drop when somebody says like a bomb like that, because Ryan just knocked that shit right out of the park. We need to get like some heavy brick microphone. Boom, drop it.
Caller, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, caller. And this is what I don't understand about when y'all have women. It is your house, it's your domain, it's your castle. Your rules apply. That's it. So what you need to do is sit her ass down and tell her, this is how it's going to be. If I feel or I get an indication that you are flirting, you're gone. Pack your shit up and go. Because the thing is, these women have to learn that we are no tolerance. I'm not going to put up with bullshit. And if I catch that you are disrespecting me, get your shit and get the fuck out. Because if you don't do that, man, what's going to happen is she's going to start talking more to her boss, and then she's going to start confiding in her boss, and then all of a sudden she's going to be spending more time with her boss. You need to go ahead and yank that chain right now and let her know this is my rule. Remember, your last name. You got to utilize your last name and let these women know the standard, the law, the rule, the code, the narrative. If she gets out of line, she's gone. She's got to do more work to stay than leave, brother.
Ooh.
Carl had something.
And I think you're right. Yeah. My sort of instinct too is calling her on it, but I wasn't sure if that would come off needy.
Yeah, it will.
Yes. It will. Don't call her on it. Demonstrate. Do not explicate. That is the number one thing I got to stress with guys when it comes to communicating with women, because women communicate on an emotional level. You're never going to rationalize with her. You're never going to appeal to her reason and say, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. Nobody cares. She doesn't care how anything makes you feel. She only cares about how it makes her feel. So you have to communicate with her on that emotional level. And how do you do that? You demonstrate. You don't explicate. That's why I always say ultimatums are expressions of powerlessness. So when you say, well, when you do this, or if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this. No, go and do it. Put her shit out on the corner. Do whatever you got to do to say to express that she's crossed a boundary that you don't want her to cross, and let her know what the consequences are.
Yeah, and I just want to add something to that, because while Steve was talking, and I don't know if I'll be taking you to task on this, Steve, but it almost sounds like you're trying to negotiate desire within the relationship or lay down some law. I kind of like Ryan's approach to it, giving zero fucks, maximizing yourself. If Steve from accounting is her new boss and he's the senior VP of the division and you're not, you don't look that attractive to her.
Right. This is hypergamy.
Yeah. This is like hypergamy, 101. Like women need to
all.
suppress their desire to swing up. Men need to suppress their desire to scatter seed. So is this negotiating desire, Rollo? You're muted.
Sorry, I was going to say it's kind of seems like that. I think that what guys need to do especially when it comes to negotiating desire or really anything else, is they simply need to demonstrate. They don't need to explicate. And guys get wrapped up in this idea that open communication solves everything. If we just communicate, then she'll be fine. No, she's responding and she's doing what she's doing because she's working on an emotional level, not on a rational level. I've got a great post called Appeals to Reason. You don't appeal to women's reason. And that's what guys want to do, because we're problem solvers. We want to think that women are just as equal as men, right? They're just equally as rational, and they're equally as thoughtful. And we're all just these rational agents who have somehow evolved above our base emotional instincts, and that we can all just talk it out. And if we talk it out, everything's going to be fine. No, that's not how human beings respond. That's why you discipline a child. Okay. You have to demonstrate that there are consequences for actions. And those are the things that are going to change that woman's mind, as opposed to sitting there, you know, and sitting her down and having a talk with her. Okay. You need to make sure that those consequences happen. And if she crosses that boundary, guys are really, a lot of guys get into this. They want to say, I'm going to set these really tough boundaries for my wife. You know what? You don't set boundaries. You let her test those boundaries. She goes beyond them. And then there's consequences for those boundaries.
Carl, you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think I'm going to cite a classic here, the No More Mr. Nice Guy, because there are two things that I took from that book more than anything. Is number one is having boundaries. Number two is enforcing boundaries. And number three is the concept of a covert contract, because a lot of the guys, what they'll do is they'll create a soft boundary. They will use direct communication when someone crosses it, in that they will explicate, but their boundaries are entirely negotiable by the power of vagina, because they see the woman who will give them the time of day as more valuable than them. So they're scared to death of having any solid boundaries. It's the same thing if you're in business and you get 90% of your revenue from one client. If they start calling your people at 2 o'clock in the morning and waking them up, you're not going to tell them, hey, stop calling my people at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going to tell your people, take that fucking call, because otherwise we're going under. And the solution is to have more options and be more aware of your own value, so that, okay, fair enough, you want to call my people at 2 a.m., you can go ahead. That's going to cost you $700 an hour for every call you make. Then they get the invoice in the mail, and then they have to deal with the consequences. Same thing with the woman. Don't tell her you hurt my feelings. That works if you share a garage. Like, I'm part of like a shared garage where we can all go in and use the tools, etc. If some guy leaves oil all over the floor and the tools in disarray, you tell him, stop fucking doing it. You don't do that with a woman. You change the locks on the garage so she can't get in there.
Yeah, good point. Donovan, you wanted to go, but just real quick shout out to Yellow Cake 415 for the $10 super chat. Excellent show as always. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, just real quick, caller, and thanks for calling in. The fact of the matter is that if your live-in girlfriend is flirting with her boss, it is already too late. And I know you don't want to hear that, because there aren't many routes that you can take that will not make you look bad. Okay, just like Rolo says, you have to explicate. Don't, you know, whatever big word he said. Your only move here is to withdraw your attention, man. Like, if you're around your wife or if she's talking about her boss, just remove yourself from the situation. Yeah. And when she asks you why, hey, listen, you've been kind of distant lately, just let her know, hey, look, it's because you're flirting with your boss. And she'll say, well, I'm not flirting with my boss. And then tell her, unfortunately for you, you don't get to make that call. Like,
the worst thing you could do is become a needy, thirsty beta.
Just let her know, listen, you're a grown woman. You can do whatever it is you want to do. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But I'm going to tell, this isn't an ultimatum. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If this continues, I can't be in a relationship with a woman who flirts with her boss. That's it. Don't argue, don't bicker, don't do any of that stuff. Just lay down the law. And guess what? If she continues to flirt with her boss, then you leave, because if you find out she did it one more time and you don't, you're finished.
Yes, it's a lack of genuine desire. If she had genuine desire for you, she would be flirting with you and trying to turn you on all the time. Instead, she's with this guy. So what's the message? The medium is the message here. Her behaviors
it's a lack of
are
options for this dude too, as well.
Yeah, that too.
That's the core of it.
Scarcity mentality. Yeah, exactly. But
dude, if a girl's got a prize, she will start acting right. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
I just want to say, y'all guys are absolutely right. I just wanted to tell this guy this, like Donovan was saying. You kind of lost already, because the thing that you have to do early on is establish your dominance as a man. You gotta, it's like the job. When you go to the job, they tell you when you go in, how much you make, and what you can and cannot do. They don't let you just come in and do what you want to do. You got to establish this early. And what you have done is not establish anything. That's why she's acting out. What women need is an assertive man that leads them, not just plays defense and let life happens to them. That's what I just want to say.
Women want a man of vision.